It began on a quiet Friday in late October. Rain tapped gently against the windows of our Portland home as I sat across from my wife, Elena, watching her laugh at something on her phone. We'd been married 16 years. We had 2 children, Maya, 14, and Leo, 9. And for most of that time, I believe we were building something lasting. We'd weathered early storms, financial stress, career shifts, the chaos of young parenthood, but we always came back to each other. Or so I thought. Elena worked as a senior marketing director for a well-known firm. I was a civil engineer, steadily climbing the ranks in infrastructure planning. We weren't rich, but we lived comfortably. Weekend hikes in the Columbia Gorge, summer trips to Cannon Beach, Friday movie nights with home-made popcorn. We prided ourselves on being present for our kids, no matter how demanding our jobs became. But over the past 2 years, something shifted. Elena grew distant, cold even. She'd sigh when I spoke, roll her eyes at my suggestions, and constantly compare me to her boss, Daniel. Daniel would have planned a surprise anniversary dinner, she'd say. Daniel always remembers to send his wife flowers. At first, I chalked it up to stress, but the comparisons became sharper, more frequent, less about admiration, more like quiet contempt. I tried to fix it. I read relationship books, planned date nights, even started therapy on my own. Every effort was met with indifference or criticism. You shouldn't have to ask what I want, she'd say. If you loved me, you'd just know. I felt like I was failing at a test with no instructions. What made it worse was that Daniel and his wife Claire were part of our inner circle. Their kids played with ours. We'd hosted them for barbecues, holiday dinners, even weekend camping trips. I'd confided in Daniel about my marital struggles, thinking he was a friend offering wisdom. Now I realize he was studying me, learning how to exploit my blind spots. The turning point came one night in bed. Elena was giggling at her phone, her whole body relaxed in a way I hadn't seen in months. When I leaned over to see what was so funny, she snapped it away, her face hardening. "It's none of your business," she snapped, storming into the bathroom. That was the moment I knew. Not with proof, but with a quiet, sinking certainty. I asked her the next day. She denied everything, furious that I'd invade her privacy. Still, I needed to know. After weeks of pleading, she reluctantly handed over her old phone, claiming she'd switched to a new one for work. Most messages were deleted, but gaps in conversations told their own story. Suspicious timing, vague replies. I hired a tech-savvy friend to recover what he could. What we found broke me. Texts between Elena and Daniel, flirtatious, intimate, detailed. Hotel bookings, weekend work retreats that never happened, gifts exchanged. It had been going on for 2 years. 2 years of lies, while I poured my energy into saving a marriage she'd already abandoned. I didn't confront her immediately. I was numb. Then came the rage, then the grief. For my kids, for the life I thought we had, for the man I believed I was. I cried in my friend's garage, ashamed but unable to stop. Part of me still hoped we could fix this. I bought a book on healing after infidelity, planning to give it to her that weekend. But that Saturday, she told me she had an emergency at work and wouldn't be home until late. I called her office. No answer. It was closed on weekends. I tried her phone, straight to voicemail. She returned Sunday morning at 2 a.m., showered immediately, and slipped into bed without a word. When I asked where she'd been, she brushed me off. "I told you not to wait up." That's when I knew. She didn't care that I was hurting. She only cared that I might find out. Desperate, I reached out to Claire. I didn't know what I expected. Denial, anger, maybe solidarity. Instead, she was stunned, heartbroken. We met at her house, and I showed her what little evidence I had. She didn't hesitate. "I'll check his phone," she said quietly. Within days, she had everything. Daniel hadn't even tried to hide it. Thousands of messages, photos, travel receipts. They'd been together everywhere. Our guest room, his lakeside cabin, luxury hotels in Seattle. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was brazen, repeated, and cruel. Claire and I made a pact. If they wanted each other so badly, let them have each other. We'd both file for divorce, but we wouldn't give them the luxury of denial. We'd serve them together, on their terms, in their secret place. We tracked their next rendezvous, a boutique hotel in Bend. I coordinated with a local process server. On a crisp autumn morning, I waited in the lobby while the server went upstairs. Moments later, Elena appeared in a robe, confused and disheveled. "Mr. Carter," the server asked. She nodded, still half asleep. "You've been served." The color drained from her face. She saw me and lunged forward, gripping my arm. "What is this? What's going on?" "You had an affair," I said calmly. "I'm ending our marriage." She screamed, pleaded, accused me of overreacting. The server stepped in, asking her to release me. She collapsed into tears, insisting it meant nothing, that she never wanted to leave. But the damage was done. I walked out without looking back. Daniel was served the same day at his home. Both fought the divorces, claiming they never intended to break up their families. They called it a mistake, a physical thing, as if that excused 2 years of deception. Friends and family urged me to reconsider. "People make mistakes," my mother said. "She's getting help. She loves you." Even my kids, though they knew the truth in age-appropriate terms, whispered, "Can't we all just live together again?" For a while, my resolve wavered. Elena moved into the guest room. She started therapy. She read the book I'd bought. She apologized daily, promised change, begged for another chance. She even quit her job to remove any contact with Daniel. I agreed to a few joint therapy sessions, not to reconcile, but to understand. In one session, she finally admitted there was no excuse. I was insecure, she confessed, tears streaming. Claire seemed so confident, so put together. Daniel made me feel seen, but it was all a fantasy. I regret it every second. The therapist suggested I consider forgiveness, that many marriages survive infidelity. But I couldn't unsee what I'd seen. I couldn't forget the nights I lay awake wondering what was wrong with me, while she was texting another man from our bed. Still, I stayed civil. For the kids. We spent Thanksgiving and Christmas together one last time as a family unit. Elena was generous in the settlement, insisting I keep the house. "You've been a good father," she said. "You deserve that." Meanwhile, Claire and I remained in touch, not as lovers, but as two people who'd survived the same earthquake. We supported each other through court dates, custody arrangements, and sleepless nights. Our kids still played together, though tensions ran high. There was no romance between us, just mutual respect and shared pain. Then, after the divorce was finalized in February, something shifted. One evening, over coffee, Claire admitted she'd started to see me differently. "Not because of what happened," she said carefully, "but because of how you handled it, with integrity." We went to dinner, just dinner, but the conversation flowed. Easy, honest, full of laughter I hadn't felt in years. That night, we crossed a line neither of us had planned. It wasn't about revenge. It was about feeling human again, desired, seen, valued. Afterward, I felt no guilt, only relief. For the first time in years, intimacy wasn't laced with performance or obligation. It was mutual, enthusiastic, healing. We didn't rush into anything. We took our time, talked with our kids, made sure everyone felt safe. Therapy became a constant for all of us. Maya struggled the most. She blamed Elena entirely, refusing to speak to her for months. "If she hadn't cheated, none of this would have happened," she'd say, voice trembling. I reminded her that respect matters, even when you're angry. Slowly, with counseling, Maya began to rebuild a relationship with her mother. Not the same as before, but something honest. As for me, I found peace. Claire and I are together now, not as a reaction to the past, but as a choice for the future. She's kind, grounded, and fiercely loyal. Her daughters adore me. Leo calls her Mom C when he's feeling bold. Last summer, her youngest told a neighbor, "Adam's my stepdad now," and my heart nearly burst. Elena has changed too. She's in therapy, focused on herself, rebuilding her life. She still hopes sometimes that I'll come back. But I've made my peace. I don't hate her. I just can't trust her again. And that's not something love alone can fix. Daniel, on the other hand, spiraled. He's dating someone new, but his children barely speak to him. His arrogance cost him everything. Looking back, I don't regret the divorce. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but also the most necessary. I taught my children that love shouldn't require self-abandonment, that respect is non-negotiable, that walking away from toxicity isn't failure, it's self-preservation. Some days I still grieve the life I thought I'd have, but most days I'm grateful. Grateful for clarity, for my kids' resilience, for a second chance at something real. I used to believe marriage was forever, no matter what. Now I know some bonds are meant to break so better ones can form. And that's not tragedy, that's growth.